Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
Shall I shout sardines enthusiastically?
Man, that was the best, wasn't it? Yeah, that joke got old.
Making reference to that joke, I didn't finish that game. I thought 4 was a bit boring.
I thought it had the best cast, but that's just me. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about Disgaea 7. But before we get too far into that, let's go with our fun-filled, the nonsense, asinine hypotheticals. Do you have one for me today?
Disgaea 7 has got a wacky cast of characters. They're no stranger to having basically cross-promotion, what with the Hololive girls in 6. So my question, very simple, very easy. You get to add any 2 characters as a guest spot in a Disgaea game. Just Disgaea in general. The 2 characters can be from anything. They don't have to be from the same thing. Like, they can just be 2 characters you really want to see in Disgaea. Could be completely batshit insane. Could be something that might make a bit more sense. I'm not bothered. Go for it, Rick. The world is your playground. Maybe don't put in real people.
Yeah. Now, Hololive spoilers, because we've got some really good lore from those, and like some of them have like really colourful personalities, but with all of fiction to pick from, this one's tough. I'd have to go with something like completely outlandish, so like Kamina from Gurren Lagann, because he feels like he'd fit right in with how bullshit stupid he is in terms of being hot-blooded and awesome, and also it would give us more Kamina, which everyone would like. And, it might be a bit of a cop-out because it's very recent, but Raphael from Baldur's Gate 3, he's an incredibly entertaining villain, and it would be funny to see him having to deal with a hell that's completely out of his control, because he thrives on being in control of the situation, and it would tickle my irony nerve in such a way that like just to see him not enjoy himself, it would be great.
But the thing that Baldur's Gate doesn't really touch on is Raphael isn't actually that big of a... He's a big of a deal compared to your party, but he's not that big of a deal compared to the Hells.
Oh, yeah. So they give Cambions a big upgrade in Baldur's Gate 3, because Cambions are just half-devils. It's just...
Well, I'm not even talking about...
like
I'm not even talking about that aspect. I'm talking about literally they make him a big dick G because he happens to decide to fuck with your party in Baldur's Gate. But in reality, he has a house in hell, and that's all he controls.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you zoom in on him because you zoomed in on the stakes of the game. Like, the game is 1 to 12, not 1 to 20, or beyond. So he's not god level, but he wants to be. and he thinks he is compared to normal ants, as in normal people. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does in a game like a Disgaea universe where it goes to level 9999 and beyond if you go by 6 standards.
He gets to level 9999 and just goes, why do I still feel weaker than if I was 20?
Yeah. Why do I still only have 4 skills? Yeah, so who would you pick for your 2 characters to be added to Disgaea from anywhere in the universe?
Yeah, well, sod's law, Rick. I had a bit of time to think about this prior to the podcast, so I wrote down my 2 answers so I wouldn't have to think for long on the podcast. Funny enough, I also picked someone from Baldur's Gate 3.
All right.
Because I think it would be fun for Karlak to hang out with some chill demons for a change.
Yeah, and, her not having to burn when she's in a different hell would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think, you could even play it off that, she went back to Avernus, but, I don't know, Prinny got in her way, and that's why she's in this world. Wouldn't you want to see her just hang out with Hegan for 5 minutes?
Oh, yeah, just hug Prinnies.
My second pick would be Ichiban from the Yakuza series. I was originally thinking of Kiryu, but then I thought Ichiban would make more sense, because he's got this silly thing where inside his head, every time he fights someone, it's basically a video game. So that's that's your justification.
Is that the Afro guy?
He's the main protagonist of the newest games.
Yeah, the Afro guy. Yeah, sure.
It's not an Afro. I get what you're saying, but it's sillier than an Afro.
Yeah.
Dude, do you know why he's got that haircut?
Oh yeah, I think you told me that he got out of prison and wanted a haircut that was popular at the time when he was in prison.
But not just popular, specifically popular amongst the Yakuza. So you needed a very specific hairdresser back in the day, and when he gets his hair all fucked up, he goes, "What the fuck?" And the hairdresser just goes, "Dude, no one's had this hairstyle for like 50 years.
Yup.
It's so dumb, I love it. But yeah, because Ichiban sees the world as a video game, there's your justification for why he doesn't freak out for suddenly being in Disgaea, because he thinks his powers just changed slightly.
Yep. He just thinks it's a new game, and that's why he's had his level reset.
Wow, it's just like, oh, yeah, the amount of meta quotes he can have, because he's always comparing things to Dragon Quest in Yakuza. It's so funny, because his party members don't play video games, and the only reason he fixates on Dragon Quest is because that was one of the few games that existed before he went to prison.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everyone thinks he's double crazy, not just because he's comparing things to this old video game, but because they don't play video games, so they don't know fuck all as to what he's saying.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, Rick, do you have a question for me?
Yep, so my one is, you are a generic unit in Disgaea. Which overlord would you, well, kind of two questions, most or least want to be a minion of?
Well, when you say overlord, what do you mean?
So someone who is essentially the overlord of a game or a netherworld. So Ieyasu being a shogun. Shogun is the local equivalent of overlord. Technically in 4, the equivalent of overlord would be Axel, because the president is the equivalent of overlord in that, and he ends up as president. Lahal, Krichevskoy, all that lot. You can also pick ones from like 5 where pretty much everyone's an overlord, or even Makai Kingdom.
Well, I don't play those games.
If you're that way inclined. Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, is every single overlord sucks, so the question in itself is flawed, because all of them treat their underlings like shit. That being said, assuming she liked me, I would just pick Etna.
Yeah. She's one of the worst ones if you're a Prinny.
Well, that's again, assuming she likes me, so therefore I'm first of all not going to be a Prinny in this scenario, and second off, I assume she actually likes me enough to not constantly shove her spear up my arse.
Sure.
How about you?
Okay. Yeah, well, if you're going with Etna as that tier, then Lord Velvetores is a very good one to go with. Even if you are a Prinny, he treats you with respect. He will drill you, but if you're not a Prinny, then he will treat you even better. Like, I think he's very definitely the most heroic of the main protagonist at that level.
Well, yeah, but that's only because of a technicality, though, isn't it? Because Adele has to be given the title of hero instead of demon. Otherwise, it spoils the big twist of the game. Because otherwise, it's quite clearly Adele. He is the most heroic protagonist in Disgaea.
Yes. Well, even Killia is actually, very heroic in his own arc. He just, has to awaken to emotions and not be a completely emotionally closed off kind of dude.
Yeah, but I still argue that Adele is therefore the more heroic figure of the two. I'm not saying others aren't heroic. I'm just saying that Adele is quite clearly the most bog standard stereotypical hero. Yeah.
The one that I would least like is one from Makai Kingdom, and it's one who is an attempted sexual predator.
You say so,
Don't want to work for him. So yes, we're going to talk about Disgaea 7 today. You start with Fuji getting accosted by bandits, and you get your little tutorial on how to, use the world and, play the game. But the first character you actually control in the ship is Perilika.
Yeah, I will stand by my statement that it's very weird that Fuji is treated as the main character of this game, because he doesn't feel like he should be.
Yeah. It's one of those weird ones where they always put a guy as the main character, even though this one really kind of is Perilika.
Like, the story revolves around, okay, I'll admit, once you get to the postlude, it very much focuses a bit more on Fuji. However, there are 15 chapters before then, which all focus on Perilika's little story.
Yeah, I think they do a pretty good job of keeping Fuji and Perilika kind of entwined in how things are going, especially towards the end when you get the reveals.
Sure.
Like, the final boss essentially being both characters' father, for instance.
Yeah, they did some weird things in this game.
Yep.
That being said, I really do think that we both know why they always make the main character not generic, but anime-looking fighter man. It's because the main audience is a Japanese audience, and they love that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think even I think Valvatoria's was the one that was the furthest departure from that. Because okay, maybe Lahal doesn't count because he was the first, but even then, he's anime as fuck.
Well, dude, I remember the first time I saw an advert. I'm going to keep doing that all time this episode, and it's not going to be on purpose. But I remember the advertisement for Disgaea 1 just looked like a really good anime I wanted to watch, and then, oh, it's a video game. Oh, the game sucks, but oh well.
Well, I was introduced to Disgaea 1 by a friend of mine knowing about it and finding it in GameStation for, like, cheap because they didn't know that it was rare. And we just played it in our flat, and I got super obsessed.
Well, Rick, my first Disgaea was Disgaea 2. I went back to 1, and it sucks.
Okay.
If you've played Disgaea 2 as your first Disgaea game, and you go back to vanilla, bog-standard, regular Disgaea 1, it feels like shit.
Oh, yeah, if you play any Disgaea and go back to Disgaea 1, it's you miss so many things, like skipping animations was not a thing till Disgaea 2. Evilities were not a thing till Disgaea 2. Man, yeah.
I don't remember Evilities being a thing in 2. I thought that came in 3.
I think they had passives.
Oh, so... okay, but they weren't called Evilities because that's a bit of a difference. Because Evilities, you get to an actual amount of choice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so in 3 you actually get to equip things. Like you get your secondary one that you can just have, and then from like I think 4 you started getting generic ones, and then 5 onwards you get super generic ones, and you can have like 15 of them. But yeah, in 2 you had your passives. So like Magic Knight was really good in 2 because it just did what it does now. It adds its element to its elemental attacks.
Well, I get what you're saying, Rick. They threw so many named non-generic characters at you into I never used generic characters.
Yeah, fair enough. They came relatively slowly, so you had time enough to raise your generics and have them and use them. Like it was like chapter 7 or so before you got Taro and Hanako, and that's like halfway through.
Yeah, sure, but I was just curb stomping people with my my team of non-OCs.
Yep. But yeah, Fuji has his gimmick is that whenever he shows any form of empathy, he starts to vomit blood. Apparently he has a lot of blood because he does this a lot, and he never falls out, he never goes unconscious from it.
It's anime logic. Like if there's any Disgaea game that can use the anime logic card, it's this one, because it's just taking the piss out of every single anime trope ever.
Yep. Perilika is an absolute treasure, and
I do remember. I messaged you after I got the game, and I literally just went, "I've had Perilika for about 20 seconds, and if anything happens to her, I will kill everyone in this room and then myself."
Yes. She's kind of a another take on the rich girl trope. So we started with Rosalind, we've had Serafina.
Well, no, this one's a bit different, Melodia, though, isn't it? Because unlike all the other ones, alright, granted, we find out later that her parents are fairly well off, but she did, kickstart her own business, and that's a thing that she does. Yeah, so she owns a clothing company, Tempura, it's called. And she's super obsessed with Hinamoto culture. Yeah, she's an otaku. She's a total weeb as well. So like she gets every word wrong. Okay, but that's not even. But here's the thing: that's not exclusively to Hinamoto/Japanese words, because she does it with everything, including common sayings in English. Yeah, the common saying. She like that's one of her other things. Like she gets every damn common saying wrong, and she will always try to muscle one in, and someone will always know exactly what she's trying to say and correct her, even when she's so far off the mark that none of the words are correct. One of my favourite ones is, obviously every character has words they say when they move on the map. One of my favourite ones is, "Your face is peeled." And it's meant to be, "Your fate is sealed." Yeah. But that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's like she says real words that rhyme with the words she's trying to say, so that's why I think people get them easily. Yes. But yeah, you kind of have to know what the situation is that she's trying to refer to, and yeah, she's always doing something wrong with it. Turns out that this is something that she inherits from her dad. Yeah. There's a NPC on the ship. There's a red mage that if you talk to her every chapter, there's a few generic characters that just live on the ship. If you talk to the red mage after every story beat, she'll tell you how Perilika's business is doing. Okay. I think I missed the red mage because I thought that was a generic, because
You get some generics that look like generics on your ship that are actual NPCs you can talk to, like the saber cat is and the succubus and all that.
Yeah, the red mage and the boy thief you might have missed because they hang out in the area where they put your actual generic units.
Yeah. So the boy thief definitely I missed because I started the game with a boy thief and they looked the same. And sometimes my boy thief would be there, and sometimes that one was, well, always that one was there. So I never saw them two together, so I just assumed it was my own until like near the end of the game.
Sure. I got lucky because I don't make generic units myself until about chapter 4.
Sure.
So I only had the 3 normal generics the game gives you, and none of those double up with the generics that just hang on the ship.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of do it the other way. I normally start with a couple of generics, and if the game fills out and I don't need the generics anymore, then that's kind of by the by, because I try to have more than 2 characters for the first few chapters.
Sure, but like when you start the game throws 3 generics at you for free, so that means you have 5 characters.
Yeah. Normally I would prefer to have something other than what it gives you, so like, okay, healer's good, but say
you get a warrior, a lady warrior, and a healer. That's what the game gives you.
Yeah, so like I might want a mage, for instance, so I'll make a mage and like take it from there.
I kind of get what you're saying, but it's one of those where all the classes you start the game with are so fucking boring that I don't want them in the long run.
Sure. Plus, when you can do the thing of equipping a class to a story character to unlock the other classes, it kind of makes the generics themselves less valuable.
Yeah, the only exception, of course, being that I grinded out my Prinny the hard way.
Sure. Started as a basic Prinny and just had the Prinny level up as Prinny until you got Prinny God.
Yeah, like my Prinny God is the same Prinny I started the game with.
Sweet.
Which is funny, because I didn't use that character for 5 chapters, and then once I unlocked not the Land of Carnage, that's a different thing, the Martial Dimension, I was just like, cool, Prinny will become God now.
I'm assuming they've got a decent shaped attack for grinding.
Several.
Yep. Because Perillica, obviously, she's got the bow. Well, she starts with a bow, and she's got that X-shaped thing, which is perfect for Martial 1.
Yeah, however, like, I do like how it's called Martigahara.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, there was a very famous battle in the Sengoku period of Japan, which is when samurai were very prevalent, called Sagigahara, which, Martial Dimension plus Sagigahara, Martigahara.
Yeah.
It's a reference they didn't need, and it's specifically for samurai weebs.
Yeah, I still haven't unlocked the Land of Carnage, by the way, but I think that's basically the only thing left to do in the game.
Oh, it's fucking bollocks, Rick, and we'll get to that once we've finished talking about the story.
Yeah. But yeah, Perillica is kind of spoiled sweet. She doesn't have to be relying on her parents' money. She's got her own, but I don't think there's a bad bone in her entire body. Like, one of her other character traits is she will super empathize with people by making up a backstory.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, sometimes she's right.
Yeah. Like, throw 1,000 darts, you'll hit a dartboard at some point. Fuji signs up to be her bodyguard for, 100 billion hell?
Yeah.
And then, very early on, Ao knocks down Udogawa Castle, trying to get Fuji to notice her senpai, or notice her dad even, and that gets added to Perillica's bounty.
Yeah, because everyone saw Perillica at the fucking destruction site and just assumed it was her for some fucking reason.
Yep. I think this is the same time that C4 is there trying to steal the Divine Treasure Staff.
Yeah, because you team up with her.
Oh no, she's stealing. She wants to steal the gun, and then she does, and then she leaves, and then the next chapter you're chasing her, and then you unlock her. C4 is an angel, and it's very poorly disguised because even her wings are angel wings, but they're just painted purple, and that's her disguise. In the English, they make her laugh is just written down as fi.
Right, yeah, that's a real Japanese thing.
Yeah, in Japanese, it's he, but he spelt the way that the kanji for fire is written.
Right, yeah, because those of you listening who may not have played the game, her big gimmick is she snorts gunpowder.
Yeah, she snorts gunpowder. She's a super gun nut. She has one friend.
Well, she has more by the time the game's over, but yeah.
Yeah, before the game starts, she basically has one friend, and that is
Natara.
Her, Nitra, her friend from Celestia.
Okay.
Who's also a weapon nut.
Do you know why I called her Natara?
Is it because of Catra?
No, there's a fucking character in Mortal Kombat who's got a similar name, and she's Nintara, so I fucked up.
Ieyasu is the idiot shogun.
Okay.
He's voiced by Zena Robinson, and I was like, oh man, I know this voice. So basically, half of the games that came out this year that I have got Zena Robinson in it in some way or other.
You said they voiced Hunter on the Owl House, right?
Yeah, Hunter in the Owl House and Fogado in Fire Emblem.
Fogado.
Yeah, the prince from the desert country.
Right, yeah, sure. Man, range.
Yeah. I mean, he does the same voice, but different characters.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't have twigged with Fogado. Fogado's got a weird tinge to the way they... It's not a weird tinge. They're just so happy, so I don't associate it with Hunter.
Oh, yeah, totally. And Ieyasu is kind of like lecherous and pathetic, so you kind of also don't associate that with Hunter, because, okay, Hunter can be a bit pathetic once he's on the back foot, but, he's more...
It's sympathetic
of a sad
rather
guy.
than, you know, you kind of brought this on yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
I will say this about Ieyasu, because I'll just come out and say it. I think the tutorial for jumbo fighting in this game was too harsh.
A little bit. Yeah, I managed to get through it no problem, but
I didn't. I had to go back to a map and grind a few levels because my character Jumbofied had no way of beating Ieyasu before he killed the Jumbofied character and then just completely fucking me up.
Yep.
Because you don't have the item world, you have no options to grind apart from do the level beforehand. You don't even have the cheat shop to make it slightly easier.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have problems with this, but I did have problems with the next one. The next character you get is Higan, and I think she's everyone's favourite.
I don't think she's everyone's favourite. I think she ticks boxes for me and maybe a few boxes for you.
Yeah, she ticks a lot of boxes for me as well. Higan, you fight her at like level 50 when everything else before that is like level 20.
Okay. However, by the time you fight Higan, you would have unlocked the item world, which means I was level 90 when I fought her.
Sure. Yes, I had a level 40, which was, I thought, rather overpowered for this time of the game, and I was informed that I kind of didn't. So she's like actually strong, except that she's got the ability that is like minus 25% to all of her stats, but that kind of doesn't matter because she's that high leveled.
Why would she have that ability? She has a spear in that fight.
She's got the ability does two things. It lowers her stats and seals sword. Yeah,
but I thought the lowering stats only applied if she had a sword equipped.
Well, she just can't use a sword at all.
I think
she just
one of us has read this skill wrong, and I don't know which one it is. But okay. Another thing this map has that makes the fight potentially more difficult is the geo effect is lonely.
Yeah. You can slightly cheese it by having someone on the base panel, but yeah, you basically have to 1v1 her.
Which again wasn't a problem for me. I was twice her level, but that's because we'll talk about it now, Rick. The item world legitimately disappointed me in this game.
Yeah, they condensed the item world into 30 floors.
I don't think that inherently is the worst change they've done. I'm not got too much of a grudge with that. It's just the actual item world itself is so bland compared to other versions.
Yeah, it's very much like the Disgaea 6 item world.
At least Disgaea 6 had pirates.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm really missing from this. Like pirates and like even reverse pirating that came in 4. That was just like...
I think that personally was bollocks, but I understand some people enjoyed it.
Yeah. Actually, no, it was 3, wasn't it?
Wasn't reverse pirating their rudimentary form of multiplayer back in the day?
Kind of, yeah. So, like, you couldn't do it in 2, but in 3, you could... that's how you got, like, certain things like statisticians. And in 4, you could definitely do multiplayer that way. And people put their ultimate characters as, like, a lone pirate with like really shitty equipment, like those weights that lowered your HP to 25%,
sure.
like that, just so people could pick them up and capture them.
Sure. I used to do a similar thing in Fire Emblem Fates, where it's like, if you beat someone's map, they could just learn a skill from the characters that they had on the map, which means you'd put one character away from your instant defeat spot with sick-ass skills, so people could just sprint to that spot, tick off that, yes, they beat it, congratulations, what skill do you want?
Yeah.
Same concept, basically.
Yeah, basically a way of doing PvP, but in an entirely beneficial way to the person that you're PvPing.
Yeah.
Like invading someone and dropping a bunch of weapons for them.
Yeah, although 9 times out of 10, that's also nefarious.
Yeah, that's for someone dropping a hacked weapon that will get you banned. But yes, Hegan bankrupts Perillica by eating her out of house and home.
Well, here's the thing. She doesn't bankrupt Perillica because Perillica's business still goes strong. Here's where talking to the Red Mage comes in handy, because it gives you some advice, or rather some context, in that that's just Perillica's personal funds.
Sure.
Perillica has a rule in that she never touches her business's money, which is so not like a real-life CEO, but whatever. And, so that explains why Perillica never actually goes out of business, because she never touches their money.
That's actually an interesting touch. Like, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
it would suck if Perillica lost her business just because someone was eating sweets.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Hegan at least solves that problem in Chapter 6. But very quickly, we just talked about the martial arts art. Once you've beaten that, you can Netherrealm sightsee, which is an interesting feature, but ultimately wank in my opinion, but whatever. Where you talk to this dude at that Netherrealm sightseeing spot, and you can do martial arts tournaments there.
Okay, I've not done that one. I've done a little bit of Demon Shogi.
Alright, let's talk about Demon Shogi, Rick. It's bollocks.
Yeah, you got to edit the demonic intelligence to be able to do it correctly.
The thing that winds me up the most about this is you look at the puzzle, you see the solution, the actual difficulty comes with how the fuck do I make the demon intelligence do exactly what I actually want it to do?
Yeah, like it would be so easy if you were given a martial artist, for instance, who you could just use a skill to knock someone off a geopanel that's making them invincible.
Well, no, that's different. That's changing the puzzles. I mean, there's a puzzle, here is the puzzle, make your dudes do the thing to solve the puzzle. Like, I was nearly tearing my hair out on the first one, which is bog standard simple. They already have the fucking DI set up on half your fucking dudes. The lady warrior throws the warrior over, you want the warrior to pick up the prinny and then throw the prinny, and that's a one-turn kill. However, you can't just lift and throw, because it doesn't acknowledge you as being able to throw anything. You have to reset your target between those two steps. Fuck you, video game.
Yep, man.
It took me 20 minutes to figure that one thing out.
Because they never give you an actual set of instructions on how to properly set these things up. It's just it's very obvious to people who know programming, I assume.
I don't think it is, because the instructions are not precise.
No.
Rick, on the very final puzzle, which you have to beat to unlock Land of Carnage, by the way, you have to make one character wait for 9 steps.
Yes, I have seen a YouTube video on this, and I've not done it yet. But oh boy. Also, in that martial arts tournament, you run into the two angels.
You run into a bunch of recurring characters here, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, Sakura and Sugar and Spice. Sugar and Spice are actual angels who keep showing up, and they basically stop being antagonistic after the second time and just start helping you.
Yeah,
and
with the caveat of, we can only help you a limited amount because Celestia doesn't interfere in other realms' businesses, which is a fucking lie, but whatever.
Yep. Sakura is someone who Ieyasu used to simp for and kind of still does, and she's really appreciative of the opportunity that he opened up for her, and now she's going to kick his ass. Okay,
so Rick, if you keep doing the item world, you will find her sometimes in the stopgap rooms every 10 floors, and Ieyasu still simps for her. I haven't seen the solution to that little story, but there is a little story going on there. You can also find any number of any of the magistrates that turn good by the end are also found in there. I also found the hot springs magistrate. Don't know what's going on there, but I can't wait to find out.
Yeah. The hot springs one is she's the succubus one, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Crimson Dark also shows up. He is literally just a recolor of Void Dark from Disgaea 5,
and he is immediately sandbagged by the fact that the reoccurring joke is he again keeps shoving her spear up his ass.
Yes, and also Also, he doesn't even have a battle sprite because he is always dealt with in cutscenes, which I kind of find funny.
Is he? I think he shows up in that one fight.
I don't think he does.
I can't remember. I've slept since then.
Yep. Yeah, there's a bunch of magistrates, and some of them, well, almost all of them are dicks when you fight them. Some of them stay dicks. Jodo, no one likes.
No, of course not. I think the best magistrate, because it makes no sense, is the ping pong one.
Oh, yeah, he just becomes friends with Fuji. Which one's that? Akuma, is it? Yeah, Ping Pong Magistrate Akuma. His logic is, when you think of Hinomoto, you think of hot springs, and when you think of hot springs, you think of doing ping pong for like 10 minutes. But therefore, me being interested in ping pong makes me the entire soul of Hinomoto.
But everyone calls him out on his shit, except Fuji, who just goes, no, he's got a point.
But yeah, his fight has a bunch of barrels, and you can just like throw barrels and win the game that way. Or you can cheat by just going over the ping pong net and kicking his ass.
Yeah, the gimmick is very obviously meant to be chuck things, and whoever wins, wins. But in reality, you're just going to go over there and stab him.
Yeah.
Side note, this map is used almost constantly on the fucking DI battles.
Okay.
I've forgotten what the fucking thing's called, Rick, the multiplayer in this game.
Oh, yeah. I've also forgotten what it's called. The first week, I managed to get the reward for that of like a low-level legendary emblem, and then after the first week, it's useless because you probably got an Arcadia by then.
I'm constantly getting bronze trophies, but I don't care about that. I more care about the fact that if you get bronze rank or higher, you get 100 litres of poltergas, because that resource is bollocks to acquire otherwise.
Yes. It's you get poltergas at a rate of 1 per map that you do manually. You get a couple more when you do certain quests, and that's about it.
And you can only hold a maximum of 300.
Yeah. And to be fair, 300 is enough to get to decent levels when you have a map that you can DI well. So, Marshall 5, for instance, once you're strong enough to do that, you're good to go. Like Marshall 1, I would say you probably just want to do manually and get one person up and just stick a bunch of people in the XP sharing squad.
Like, that's the only way to...
Marshall 5, you probably want to just DI, yeah.
That's the only way to grind people in this game is the XP squad, honestly. Like, I was reading a guide because I was grinding the that particular map, the final Marshall Dimension map, and they were like, oh yeah, if you want to make this super easy, make someone get rank 25 with fists, because you get Big Bang whatever the fuck and it kills them all. Alternatively, you can get someone to rank 50 with swords, but this takes longer. And I'm like, yeah, but Fuji uses swords, so fuck it, I'm doing that one.
Yeah. Suisen is the last one of the general main characters.
I like when he joined the party for 2 reasons. 1, I wasn't expecting it so early. 2,
early.
It's just the way he joins, where he's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. However, I kind of can't argue with it. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just been kidnapped at that point and he just accepts it.
But he hasn't been kidnapped, though, because he's already proven he's kind of strong enough to just leave if he wanted to.
Yeah, he could leave if he wanted to, but he just doesn't. But I think it's one of those where he gets treated with a bit more respect as a good guy than as a magistrate.
Yeah, he gets treated as a person as opposed to as a robot.
Yes. And the twist with him is that he is Ieyasu's little brother Ikki, or at least that is the strongest one of the many souls inside him.
It's one of those where the moment they showed you Ikki's sprite, I'm like, oh, that's clearly Suisen.
Yep. And as for souls, C4 has the ability of being able to see souls, so like that's how she knows about things.
Like, it's an ability that doesn't come up a lot in game, but in plot, all it does is help.
Yeah. And our main villain for the most of the game is Demodor Opener.
Have you seen him without his hat yet?
Yes, it's cute. I had to put that hat back on because his eyes look wrong without the hat.
Oh, I've left him without the hat because he stands next to Perillica in the base and they look adorable together.
They do, yeah. So, weebness is not the only thing that Perillica inherited from her dad. She inherited the cat ears as well.
Speaking of inheriting things, like the moment I saw Canon Line, I was like, you are clearly Perillica's mother.
Yep. Or older sister, you know.
Clearly mother, that's clearly where the story's going. This wouldn't be as heartfelt if Perillica didn't have to kill her mum.
Yeah. They don't mask it very well with the sprites, but they do mask it very well with Perillica's reaction. Like the first time time, but once you know, you can kind of read into it, because she doesn't refer to it at all, even when they're speaking privately, when Perillica just peels off from the group to confront Canon Line on her own.
It's also one of the downsides of having played other Disgaea games, because this is a Disgaea as fuck trope anyway.
Oh, yes. Like, I think I said it about something else this week already, but it's like a roller coaster. You know things go up and down. You're just there for the ride.
Yeah, you did say that this week. You didn't say it on podcast, but yeah.
Yeah. And Canon Line is also affected by the curse.
Now, to be fair, they hide that fact well, because I generally thought she was just a cunt when we met her.
Yep. Turns out that the reason that she can't resist it is because she doesn't have a stronger body as Fuji. Like, she's still level 1.
Oh yeah, at this point we don't actually know Fuji has a curse. I mean, it's obvious Fuji's bullshitting, like, because that's not a thing. But up until it's revealed, Fuji is adamant that he's just allergic to empathy.
And nobody believes him, and Perillica just ignores it and just keeps on beating Perillica at him, and it nearly kills him multiple times.
If you want to talk about nearly killing him, Ao is the one who nearly actually kills him.
Oh yeah, Ao just like nearly kills damn near everyone. Like, she's bullshit strong. When you get her, she's level 400, and I think she was always like even stronger than that.
Oh no, but when I said she nearly kills Fuji, I meant because she nearly kills Fuji because she loves him so much, not because she's got a high level. Yeah. Also, that level weren't dick compared to my party. I was level 1,200-ish when I beat the game. Although, I
was also like, I think I was like 9999 at that point. Yeah.
Like until you unlock the story to unlock Land of Carnage, you don't realise that anything other than level matters.
Like, yeah, you can level up your best gear, but you know, as soon as you get Land of Carnage stuff, like a rank 1 Carnage item is better than a rank 40 basic.
We'll get there.
And yeah, more of the magistrates. Most of them are kind of nothing. C again, I think, is the one that's actually the most important, because he used to be one of Mugai's students, didn't he?
Yeah, but so was Crimson Dark.
Yeah, Crimson Dark and C again were Mugai's students, but C again gets reforged by Canon Line into another Suisen.
Yeah,
one of the Shirafunes. So he just, like, from like halfway through the game, he's just a generic white Shirafune.
Okay, but
with
then
a C again voice.
But his sprite wasn't exactly unique before. He was just a ranger.
No. Yeah. Most of the like, apart from Crimson Dark, pretty much all of the magistrates are generics that have got a unique color. So Big Bull is just a silver armor knight. C again's a ranger. Sakura's a warrior. Yayaka's a Miko. Tenbai's a moth. Yubana's the whatchamacallit, the succubus. Akuma is a martial artist. Party Yasa is a samurai.
No, he's not. He's literally Party Yasu's literally just Ieyasu with a palette swap.
No, he's a regular samurai. He's basic samurai. He's Gachi Yasu. That's the palette swap of Ieyasu.
Say that again. Say the names.
Party Yasu is the one who's the one that's currently alive. Gachi Yasu is the father who you fight in the time travel shenanigans bit. That's Ieyasu's father. That's the one that's a palette swap.
Party Yasu is a palette swap, dude, as well. He's a different palette swap, but he is a palette swap.
Party Yasu's a palette swap of the basic samurai.
No, he's. I will fight you. I will fight you on this one. He looks exactly like Ieyasu, but palette swapped.
Okay, you can fight me on this. You're gonna lose. It's Gachi Yasu that looks like Ieyasu.
I'm not saying he doesn't look like Ieyasu as well. They all look like each other.
Party Yasu looks different. But yeah, Nitra is the last one, and she does have a unique sprite as well. She's slightly different to a basic angel.
Wait, which one's this?
Yeah, she's got Nitra.
Oh, right, yeah. So they're called Celestials, aren't they? Yeah. Celestial Hostess.
And Jodo doesn't have a sprite because that's his gimmick.
Very sorry, but when you type Party Asu into Google Images, the third image is just 3 girls in bikinis. And I don't know why. On closer inspection, I don't like admitting I'm wrong, but I'm wrong. Let's move on.
Yeah. Jodo is another living treasure, and he can just split his soul because basically he doesn't matter. He can just take over things. As soon as Ao is losing control of herself, Jodo just takes over her, and that's kind of a problem.
And it's the moment he cements himself as the true villain of the game, because I I was not mad at all in this game because I was like, this game's silly. And then that happened. I went, all right, someone's got to die.
Yep. And the someone that does have to die is Mugai. He's
I meant Joe Blow.
Oh, yeah. Mugai is the true villain of the game. The entire time that we've been fighting Demodor Opener, it's been Mugai possessing him. Opener was just a tourist, fought against Mugai and won, and it sent Mugai down this depression spiral of weird, stupid logic, and that's when and then he lost his wife, and that cemented the stupid logic. So yeah, Mugai intentionally lost his revenge duel against Opener just so he would be dead and would be able to possess him.
Fucking the thing about Demodor is when you do the flashback stage and you see him trying to approach Mugai going, I want you to be my Makama or Yakama. He gets the name wrong, but I knew what he was trying to say and I hate myself for it.
Yeah. Man, because you can just imagine someone doing that in actual Japan as well. Like, that's the worst part. It's the cringiest bit. And it's so funny because it's not happening to a real person. Yeah. So, and then when you get Opener, he goes back to, he's already gone back to being, like, cute and adorable. And turns out his, I believe Demodor is a title, so it's basically Commodore, but Demon Commodore. His actual name is Gatling Opener.
Yeah, you learn that from the Prinny, who's his brother, but they never talk to each other or address that.
Oh, yep. And Canon Line is sickeningly sweet on him because, they actually still love each other a lot, and she just calls him Gatty. Yeah, Canon Line gets her little redemption arc in that she tries to circumvent the curse by making it so that her helping someone else is doing more damage to Mugai.
Sure.
It doesn't work because Mugai's got infinity souls and just revives. But she dies and gets reincarnated as an angel.
Which is very weird because when I saw her at first, I already thought she was an angel.
Yeah, I think she's a human, but you don't see her ears, so we don't know either way. Like, she looks like she's got the same kind of palette as someone like Flon, so yeah, it would make sense that she would be an angel already. It would make sense if she was a human, because, if she was a demon, then her ears would probably be sticking out. It kind of would be sort of cool if there was another half-human protagonist after Lahal, but, that's by the by.
I didn't even know Lahal was part human, dude.
Oh, yeah. His mother was a human.
Sure.
And that's why he doesn't have wings. Like, he kind of bullshits it by using his scarf as wings, but he doesn't have wings because he's half human.
Yeah, but even that's a fucking stupid rule, isn't it? Because half the fucking demons in the game don't have wings.
Oh, yeah, but like the only other demon that we see early on in Disgaea 1 is Etna, and she very definitely does have wings.
Yeah, but they're tiny and useless, much like, I'm not going to make that joke, but you get where I'm going.
But like, compared to Khrushchevskoy and Midboss, they both have wings, so it would make sense that Lahal would, but yeah, that's the reason he doesn't.
If you say so, man, it's one of those. I'm not going back to play Disgaea 1 at this point, it can fuck off.
But yeah, so that's most of the story.
We glossed over a lot, but sure.
Yeah. Ao gets rescued eventually, and because like the final episode is less chasing Mugai and more chasing Ao to just prove to her that Vuji actually does care and always kind of did.
That's not true though, is it? That's like the second to last act. The last act is very much definitely fighting your way to Mugai and fucking him up, because you get an awesome splash screen beforehand of the 7 people with their weapons, plus Ao, who is basically a weapon.
Yeah. That's the because you're meant to need the 7 weapons to get to where Mugai is, but Ao is just as strong or stronger than any of the weapons because Mugai has got the 7th one, which makes it so that it should be impossible to get there, but it's very obvious that he's intending for Ao to be the last one, because he's got the fist, which is what Opener has the entire time, and it's just like the main thing in his character sprite.
Yeah, it's the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
I'm not joking, guys, it looks like that.
Yeah, it looks like a lion claw version of the Infinity Gauntlet, which is kind of a call forward to Opener being a Catboy as well.
Well, if you say so, the fist is always closed, so it's hard to tell.
Sure. Yeah, it looks to me a bit more like a lion folklore. And it's one of those where opener reminded me quite a bit of Bloodis.
Who?
From 5, Goldion and Bloodis.
Okay, sure. Like, you can't just say names. You have to say the game they're from and what their role was, because if it's not the most recent one, they're gone from my brain.
Yeah, Mugai and Opener in general, as a gestalt being, kind of reminded me of Bloodis, but like in a different way. So Bloodis essentially got turned to the good side halfway through the game and was posing as a baddie, whereas Opener was converted to the evil side before the game and was posing as an overlord until he got fixed. So I thought that was an interesting contrast.
Yeah, sure.
And
I notice how you're comparing it to 5 and not to 6, because let's talk about that for a minute, because I think you and I might be on the same wavelength where, while 6 was fun from a story point of view, mechanically speaking, that game was all kinds of jacked.
Oh, yeah. They've walked back on a bunch of stupid things that it did in 6. They made the numbers smaller again, which I think was a correct decision, because in 6, you could be level 100 by the end of chapter 1, and that was normal.
Yeah, it's one of those where they seem to really emphasise that this game is all about big numbers because we're big and silly and over the top, and they didn't really stop to think why they never went past 9999 before. Don't get me wrong, attack value, the actual stats in this game are still stupid, but they were even more stupid in 6. It didn't... I will shit on the poltergast system because I think it's silly, but you really, if there is going to be some sort of auto levelling up mechanic, you do need to limit it a bit, otherwise you get Disgaea 6.
Yeah. I think the poltergast way of, you can just feed that amount of poltergas to the level and you do it that many times and you can skip the level. I think that's a good addition, because otherwise you were leaving your Switch on for like a night, just basically Bitcoin mining for levels.
It wasn't a good time. I found myself playing games on my PC, and while I was doing that, I was like, why don't I just leave Disgaea 6 on? There is no downside, apart from the energy bill.
Yeah. It's it was one of those where it's good that you can skip the fights. I understand why they tried to make it more limited, in that you can't just do it and just go, okay, I want to do this, and I want to do it infinitely, and then immediately be 9999. I can understand that.
But at the same time,
however, yeah,
you get to certain maps that are quite clearly designed for you to just do 50 times, or apparently the very last Carnage stage, once you jack everything up to max, you will instantly max out a character after one run, which, is kind of par for the course, and it is a bit more reasonable. But before you get to that level, it's very much I've got to bang my head against this map for 50 levels, and then I've got to reincarnate and do it again. Yeah.
Speaking of, I did reincarnate during the main story, so my Pirellica is on like 32k to reincarnate at this point.
That's more than a bit of reincarnation.
Yeah, she's got like 4 times the stats of someone else at the same level.
Yeah, that tracks. I thought I was going mad. I've reincarnated my main 10 about 5 times each, and I thought that was overkill.
Yeah. I mean, once you get to 9999, what are you going to do? You can either be 9999 or you can reincarnate and get to like 3k in like 2 fights.
Sure, I've been reincarnating way before 9999.
Yeah, I did, and now I don't.
It takes too long
takes
too long to get to 9999 for me to constantly do it.
Yeah, my first one was like level 100 or so, and then did one about like level 400, and then like 1,000, and then after that, yeah, it was, if you can get to 1,000 at this point, other people are 1,000 or so, yeah, you got something to fall back on, so you can just grind up again.
Oh, you see, I've been reincarnating around the 3k mark.
Sure. That's also reasonable, because you still get a lot of basically yellow bar experience in that.
Yeah.
When you're because I think I can get to like 300s or so in base stats on Pirellica now.
Jeez, I'm barely cracking 100.
And that takes you to like over 1 million when you're at 9999, as opposed to the hundreds of thousands.
Sure.
Opener comes into the game at level 1000.
Yeah, except he is a normal story mode level 1000, which means he ain't shit.
Yeah. So he has not been reincarnated at all. And Ao comes at 400, Opener's 1000. Neither of I think Ao is pretty good because she's got like she does more damage and takes more damage thing going on.
Sure.
So she's always technically going to be like useful in that way.
I've put them both in my main 10 because, as mentioned before, I like having characters that are characters, which is why I also have Nietzsche,
Yes.
and she's crap, but I don't care. She is a named character, so therefore she is in my party.
Yeah, I like how she doesn't even have a recruitment mission. It's just a bill in the Congress, and it's like a 99% chance to succeed. She just joins.
Yeah, I was surprised that she was not less than generic enough that she gets dialogue in the hub.
Yeah, like, and also I didn't realize until like the end of the game that I should have changed my controlled character in the hub, because Fuji has things to say as well.
Well, I've constantly controlled Fuji, so I also didn't know that.
Yeah. I've also only just started unlocking the extra colours.
Oh, the extra colours that you have to do the item world for.
Yeah. So some of them are, you get some of them just by doing sightseeing, like for the generics.
Oh, sure. I haven't really done much. I've sightseed in every world because I wanted to get the achievement to get every treasure chest, which I somehow haven't unlocked, which makes me think one of two things. One, there are treasure chests that I cannot see. Or two, you're going to be able to Netherrealm sightsee in the Land of Carnage, which would be silly, but I also wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, it would be both silly and par for the course.
Yeah.
Or even like sightsee on Baal's map once you've done it.
Yeah, I unlocked Baal's map, and I was like, oh, how... foolishly, I know who Baal is. I was just like, maybe he's only like level 3000. Oh, no, he's not.
Yeah. I mean, he's normally level 4000, but yeah, the big deal is he kills you when you come out of the base panel. So you need to be ridiculously strong already just to survive that.
It was not a fun discovery. I was like, I'm going to do this later, if at all.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's got the thing. I think it might even have come in Disgaea 5, but it was definitely a thing in 6 where you can just retreat from a map.
Oh,
and
yeah,
just not get a game over.
Yeah,
or even if you do get a game over, you just keep going, like as if you didn't.
Yeah. If you press the triangle button, I don't know what it would be on Steam, but triangle button on PS5, and you can just give up, and the give up has go back to either reset the map, go back to map selection, or go back to the ship. And I'm like, back to the ship, don't need to do Baal today.
Yep. Let's do something else. So Baal is going to be bullshit. Apparently there's like 4 more fights with Carnage Baal. They're all going to be bullshit, because even the regular Baal has Carnage stats, even has the Carnage emblem on him.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those where I killed Baal a lot in 6, but that's also not an achievement in 6.
Yeah, like nothing's an achievement in 6. Like the final boss in it is 9999, but like that's also not an achievement because there are 2 more tiers of additional sets of numbers.
Oh, don't.
Because beyond Carnage they have what, Rasetsu?
Oh, dude, I don't know. Yeah. I didn't pay attention. I dropped off hard from Disgaea 6.
Yeah. I've still got Disgaea 6 in my Switch.
I've got it downloaded. It doesn't take up a lot of space, which probably explains why it runs like shit.
Yeah, it's one of the few games I bought on cartridge for the Nintendo Switch. The other ones being like Sonic Forces and not Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild. Like those are the only cartridges I own for the Nintendo Switch. Everything else I've got as a download game because it's more convenient to me.
Yeah, because SD cards are a miracle and they have big spaces nowadays.
Yeah.
Assuming you get a legitimate one and not like our friend who thought he was buying like a 1 terabyte one, but when it came it was 32 gig.
Yeah.
And to which we both responded with, I don't think they do 1 terabyte size SD cards, at least not for £10.
Oh yeah, definitely not for £10. If it's £10, it's fake.
Anyway, we'll move on. Sorry, I wanted to bring that story up because I still find it funny.
Yeah, like because you got it off Wish.com as well.
I don't think it was Wish, but it was like a Wish-like site.
Yeah. But I think it actually was Wish.
I couldn't tell you.
It's like I've got a 0.5 terabyte in my Steam Deck, and that was like £35, and that's a real one. That's from Samsung.
Dude, I
actually bought it from Samsung.
Like I've only got 64, and that does the trick for the Switch.
Yeah, for the Switch, because a lot of things are like 3 gigs or less.
Yeah.
Because they got to fit on a regular cart that they supply, and Nintendo don't want to, pay 30 odd quid for a 0.5 terabyte set of storage for every single game that they release. so they make the game smaller, unlike Call of Duty, which is like 200 gigs now.
Well, like
even Baldur's Gate 124 on PC right now.
It's one of those where, like, you know how there's those funny screenshots of what Mortal Kombat 1 looks like on the Switch?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, because that game is 90 gigabytes on the PlayStation.
Yes.
I don't know how well, you could tell how the fuck they compressed it to run on a Switch, because the graphics are shit.
Yeah. Well, also it has to run on a Switch. Like, it wasn't even a good phone at the time that it was new.
I get you. It's one of those as well where I think it was quite clearly a matter of Nintendo going, no, you got to make a Switch version. We'll give you money. We don't care if it sells well. It's like, we need it on the console. So NetherRealm just went, okay, it's going to be shit, but we'll do it. Although, you know, I'd want my reputation to be protected a bit more than that. But it's Mortal Kombat, and they can buy back a lot of goodwill by having awesome DLC characters. And let's talk about Disgaea again, because we're getting off topic.
Yep. The one thing I do like about Ao in particular, just going back to Ao, is that it's not a fun thing, but she's basically been holding herself together through sheer force of will, in that she was never really stable, because Fuji kind of created her out of...
desperation.
Yeah, desperation, using like the remnants of the souls of his classmates after Mugai did what he did. And she's been holding herself together out of like force of will and love for Fuji. And it's a really weird one where when it gets reciprocated, she kind of no longer needs to try, and that's when she kind of starts to let go.
It's also one of those where when Fuji made Ao, he was actually really young and inexperienced himself, so the technique wasn't anywhere near as perfected as Mugai's own version of it. Plus, you know, with youth comes inexperience.
Yeah. And it's kind of telling that this is the game where Magi Change is not a normal thing, because that was just a normal thing from like Disgaea 3 onwards otherwise.
Did they have it in Disgaea 4? Because I think they only had it in 3, didn't they? And then they dropped it.
They had it in 4. They had Giga Magi Change in 4, and they had dual wield Giga Magi Change in 5.
I don't remember it being in
and
5.
I think they dropped it in 6.
Well,
yeah,
they dropped it. They dropped a lot of things in 6. Like, I still can't believe that they got rid of weapon skills. So if they got rid of weapon skills, of course they're going to get rid of Magi Change. It's fucking pointless.
Yeah, it's pointless having someone, you know, stack up with a dude. Yeah, because they definitely had it in 5 because of dual Magi Change. You could essentially level up 5 characters at once, but 4 of them had to be monsters.
Okay.
Because you like fuse 2 monsters and then Magi Change them, fuse another 2 and Magi Change them, and then the one human just does stuff. It took time, but yeah, it was definitely also a thing in 4 because that was the way to do the grinding map. You needed to dual Magi Change into a giant Magi Change, and then get a giant Big Bang that was like a big old diamond rather than just a 3x3.
I didn't play 4. It's fine.
Yeah. Well,
that being said, I've seen
Desco
as a sword, so I guess it tracks that Magi Change was still in 4.
Yes. Yeah, the Desco sword is a thing. And yeah, I have the DLC for this, and Desco is rather adorable. She also wants to try things like sushi, and I also got plein air at the beginning of the game, and she was basically my gunner until I got C4, and then I had 2 gunners.
I thought plein air was a completion bonus.
Yeah, so she is the completion bonus for having all the DLC.
Oh, just having it, not completing it. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to complete it, so it's kind of upside down. Once you have all the DLC, you just get her.
Sure.
Similarly, you get a bunch of slightly altered generics, so like short hair versions of the Succubus and Nekomata.
Yep, for the perverts.
Bunny ears Armor Knights. Yeah. A bunny ears Armor Knight, cat ears Mage, gamer Professor, gamer Android, and some others. So yeah, you can start the game with a bunch of extra generics that you would normally have to go through a lot of the game to be able to unlock.
Sure.
Like Android is meant to be one of the last things that you get as far as generics go, but you can just start the game with one.
Yeah, those quests are fun.
Some of them actually are.
No, they're not. The quest for unlocking the Android is get rank 4 with these 3 classes, and obviously at that point you're like, well, fuck making those. Fuji, you're now a Maiko.
Yep. Yeah, like it's one of those. Like I think once you get to rank 6 in those, that unlocks the ability for being able to equip on your story characters.
Sure.
Or, well, on that character even. Sorry, just anybody who has rank 6 in something can equip that ability, whatever character they are, whatever class they are.
Yeah, you're talking about the unique one and not the generic ones.
Yeah, so you get the unique ability because the generic ones anyone can have any point, no problem. But the unique one is normally the one that's most impactful and most evocative of that character's feel.
Yeah, so there's 2 types of abilities. There's abilities and unique abilities. All the main characters have 2 because they unlock a second one during the story, and that second one is usually bullshit great.
Higan, I think, technically has 3 because she changes her basic one into just a good one. Just loses the shit one that makes her stats shit and stops her using swords. So now she can use swords again.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that free. I'd call that she still has 2. It's just one of them is now useful. As you say, it's not free abilities because you can't have all 3 equipped at the same time.
Yeah, and she gets really good with spears when she unlocks that.
Have you unlocked the first postlude map that leads to Carnage?
I don't think so.
Okay, so when you enter it, you encounter Higan's master as a prinny, and Higan's master talks mad shit about Higan because 1, they don't recognise Higan, and 2, they're like, how the fuck can you be a Zeshroy? You're using a spear, you scrub ass bitch. And then Higan's like, alright, that's it, I'm killing you.
Sounds great. I'm gonna have to get to that.
So to unlock that, you have to beat the postlude before with Demodor, obviously. You have to beat the final Overlord rank of the martial arts tournament for the Neverwhelm sightseeing. You have to 3-star the final Demon Shogi puzzle, and you have to level up. You have to beat an item god too, which means you need to get to the final floor of a legendary item in the item world.
Yeah.
So you got to do a lot of steps.
I've definitely done an item god. I don't know if I've done an item god too.
It's weird because I think they both count. I'm not sure. I also don't know if you have to do it when you have the quest activated. So I don't know.
Yeah, you need the quest activated because I think I did one before that, and then I got the quest. So yeah, you have to have the quest up for it to count because it doesn't retroactively look back or like check achievements or whatever.
Or it specifically has to be an item god too.
Maybe so. I know I've got trapezahedrons now, so I'm at that point of item worlding, as it were.
Sure.
That's the one above Exodus. So, but yes, they walked back on a bunch of stupid things that they did in Disgaea 6. Like they put most of the generics back in the game. There's only a few that are missing now. Like some of the ones from 5 that were unique, like the Maid, the Dark Knight, and the Sage are not here. But generally, most things from before are here.
I haven't seen Geomancers since Disgaea 2, but I also think they were pointless even back then. Yeah. What's your gimmick? I fuck with the geo blocks. Okay, I have a tink.
Yeah, it was nice that gimmick was a thing. It was crap that it wasn't. It was either not needed or useless. Like, because he had a thing where he could just destroy a geo block even though it would bypass invincible, and that was a cool thing. And it made item world doable sometimes if something was ridiculously stupid. And they also had one to just randomly scramble geos and just re-roll.
Yeah, I think there was one
both of these
story
pretty much only
map.
went in item world.
I think there was one story map where having a Geomancer leveled up properly would make the map trivial, because they can't make the Geomancer's ability compulsory for a map because otherwise it would break the game.
Yeah.
Except for in the item world, where the item world's random, you're supposed to bring a stack team so that you can face any threat.
And in Disgaea 1, they had a really cool looking guy called the Scout, who was prototype Geomancer, and their gimmick, as well as geomancy things, was that they could place down a turret, which just weirdly didn't interact with the turn order at all. They just decided to shoot sometimes.
That sounds shit.
It was weird. My Scout wasn't very strong because, it wasn't Lahal. But it's one of those things that, it was something new that they had tried and they realised that it needed to be overhauled at least a certain amount.
Is it something new that they tried if it's the fucking thing in the first game?
Yeah, because they had games before that.
Okay, you know what I mean. Disgaea 1 is its own spin-off, therefore it's a new thing, therefore everything's new. Don't be fucking sweet about this.
No, but if you look at La Pucelle, it's basically Disgaea 1.
But if you look at Persona, that's basically SMT. What's your fucking point?
Yeah, because like everything is built on something that they've done before. So like
You're being a bastard. Stop being a bastard. Let's move on before I start yelling.
Yeah. Main difference between La Pucelle and Disgaea is that the geo panels were the new thing, really.
Let's move on, he says, and then I'm going to explain anyway. Fuck you.
Hey, yeah. Where's my show this time?
Oh, that can easily be changed with some sneaky editing. It's my show, he says, as the editor laughs.
Laughs in editor, yeah. But yeah, I think that's more or less it. What else can we think of that we've not touched on this time?
I don't know, I'm still mad about the La Pucelle stuff. I will say, I do think that at a glance, the DLC is a rip.
It is. It's very expensive. And they've gone all in on everything is DLC. Like, I get it that they've taken things that are not from this game and made the game just the game and not split it between, okay, this is something that you can get by actually playing the game to the end and doing the fun things at the end versus this is DLC. Because that was always a weird thing to me. Like, Disgaea 3 had things split up. You could get Lahal, Etna and Flonne, but if you wanted Adela and Rosalind, you had to buy the DLC.
Here's the thing about that, is I kind of get it. I kind of get having Lahal, Etna and Flonne being in every Disgaea because they are the flagship, they are the original, and they kind of do just fuck around.
Yes.
But, you know...
Like, that's what they do, yeah.
Like, could you imagine if in every Disgaea they just had, okay, every previous Disgaea game antagonist is now available to recruit at the end of the game? It'd be a bit shit.
Yeah. Like, I can understand there being a few of them, but I can also understand them not putting every single one in each time. And they have cut it down a lot. So, like, from 6, there's basically just Zed, Biko, and Melodia.
I mean, yeah, it does look as if, like, I looked at the DLC, every game gets 3 representatives, fair words, representatives.
Sometimes more. 4 gets 4, 2 gets 2. I think 3 only gets 2 as well.
But who the fuck wants Tink? Like, Tink was good in Disgaea 2, but I don't want him to ever come back. One of the most fun characters from Disgaea 2 was Etna, and she's from Disgaea 1.
Yes, exactly. I actually thought that was a good way of doing it, just having one of the previous characters just be a story character and just, like, their story has progressed to a degree.
Well, it's what they did in 6, except it did it in a postlude.
Yeah, they also did it in 4 with Flonne.
Sure, I've not played 4, so you're going to just have to explain for the audience and me.
Yeah, so there's an angel in 4 who is a regular party member and has been tasked by the Archangel, who turns out to be Flonne, to go do things. Because Flonne wants to build a giant mecha and needs money for it. And is very excited to use the mecha at the end of the game.
And then it blows up before she can, I assume.
It doesn't blow up, it's just not strong enough to put the moon back into place. So, yeah. Yeah, Flonne got promoted to Archangel by the time of Disgaea 4, so that puts that in the timeline.
Sure. And then by the time Disgaea 6 came around, she decided to hang out with Lahal again.
Yeah. I think she never stopped hanging out with Lahal, it's just a case of she was also the Archangel.
Yeah, I guess Lahal gets a bit of a pass with the Celestia stuff being half human.
Yeah, and if you play D2, he's also got an angel sister.
I haven't played that, I've heard about that, I think it's dumb, but I don't care.
Yeah, like, apparently his mum was pregnant at the time that she died, and when she got reincarnated into heaven, then she gave birth. It's silly.
You didn't need to explain anymore. I already said it was dumb.
I mean, we're talking about Disgaea. Of course it's dumb. But yes, I guess that's time to wind down. So, from Disgaea 7, do you have an absolute favourite moment?
Not really. The game's good. Nothing stands out. I liked when Hegan showed up because she is by far a combination of my favourite tropes. I wish she was a bit more muscular. What about you?
I would say it's probably the getting towards the end where you're chasing after Ao and actually getting some Ao moments that are not just her being a plot device by turning her into a plot device. Like, I thought that was a very good part of the game. Like, towards the end.
Yeah, she was just a walking plot device for a long time.
We can't always talk about the good stuff. We sometimes have to talk about the bad. Do you have a weakest link?
Yeah, the DLC's bollocks. Like, I don't care how much you like Disgaea. It's such a... I don't know how any game can say, we've got all this extra stuff on day one that you could have, but instead we're going to withhold it from you. You have to pay twice the amount of the game if you want all of it.
Yeah. It's a completionist nightmare.
They have a gacha game.
At least they did release it.
They have a gacha gacha game.
Oh,
They don't need to make money
that's
this
failed.
way. I know
That's
they haven't.
failed. It's
It's failed. What? It didn't make its money. How the fuck did it not make its money? It's a gacha game.
It made the money, but they decided that the Western version was not making enough money, so they took that offline. So now the only version of it is the Japanese version, which is still going.
Oh well, it didn't fail then, did it? They decided that Westerners weren't as much of a schmuck as the Eastern audience.
Yeah, and well, it was also like the license for the Western version was held by a company that is known for taking these things, localizing them, and then abandoning it after a couple of years.
Sure.
So, like, they did the same to the Phantasy Star crossover game.
It's one of those where, like, hey, guess what? If you're a Disgaea fan and you don't mind throwing money at bullshit crack, then, there are many a way you can just download the original anyhow. I don't see why they need to dip their toes into both scummy versions of making money.
I think I even showed you a picture, actually, didn't I, of one of the alts from the gacha game. Man, that character looks so good.
I mean, if you did...
It was Lise, it's the lion girl who's Kilia's waifu from 5.
Again, what I was saying was, if you did show me, I don't remember.
Sure. They do a bunch of alts of what if this character was that, but yeah.
Well, yeah, they have to. It's the law. Rick, what about you? What's your weakest link?
My weakest link is Poltergeist. Just Poltergeist in general.
Well, considering you bought all the DLC, I suppose you can't really champion that corner as much.
Yeah, like, I agree with you, but it's not my weakest link. So yeah, it's one of those we both think it's silly that they have this thing and they tried to restrict it, so why even have it?
It's weird, isn't it? Because, again, Disgaea 6 has shown us that, yes, they need to limit it, but they've clearly limited it too much.
Yeah. Like, I can understand it coming back over time, but it maybe should be coming back over time, like refill to 300 every day rather than having to grind it out.
Yeah, I could see that working. Like, every time you turn the game on, as long as there's like an internal clock, of course there is. But then it'd be like, oh, well, what's to stop people from doing the fucking... I suppose it's a bit harder to change your time zone on PlayStation than it is on the Nintendo Switch. But, like, people will work out a way to just change your time and jump forward and do this and do that. Because, they've got
time travel, skip ahead.
Like, they've got to limit it, but they've got to limit it less, and they've got to limit it less in a way that isn't open for abuse.
Or even just let it be abused. Like, if people want to spend an hour doing this, then let them. Like, it's no different to just opening up Cheat Engine.
Yeah, but by the same token, like, at that point, just if there is a way you can abuse it, then why even bother limiting it at all? Just let it be free.
Yeah. And we'd like to end on a high note, so do you have an MVP?
Yeah, it's Perillica.
Yeah, ditto. Absolutely. Perillica is the heart and soul of the entire party. She holds everything together. It's her ship. Like, without her, you wouldn't have this collection of characters doing what they're doing. So, yeah, Perillica from both of us.
Like, Fuji's on the box. Fuji's toted as the main character. But if you play the game and you play the story, it's quite clearly Perillica's tale.
Fuji's along for the ride, and it just so happens that he is both the son of the main villain and the father of Ao, and if it weren't for that, it would just be Perillica Tale. But yes, I think that's about it for today. If you liked the video, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube. If you're listening via one of the many audio platforms, you can instead send us an email, which would go to
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, that is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
Yeah, join us again next time. See you later, everyone.
Bye, guys.